G'day legends, welcome back. Today we're going to give you some lessons on things that Colombians do which can be a little bit strange. I didn't want to just make it two gringos talking about Colombia, so we actually have Carolina here, Medellin local. And as we go through each item, Carolina is going to be providing some Colombian insight on why they're like that. The first thing that Colombians will do, which is very strange, they hate saying no. And they rather make up elaborate lies than say no to you.
And if you're a foreigner and you're not aware of this, you may be questioning them even further on this excuse that they're giving you, making the situation even more uncomfortable for the Colombian. If you ask someone to go, let's say, to a nightclub, and that nightclub may be expensive to a local, they might say that they have to go to a funeral or that they can't because their mom is sick and they want to take care of her.
There's no limit to what crazy lies they'll come up with to get out of something. For example, recently I was organizing a tennis camp. This tennis camp cost $25 to go to. Yes, I understand that can be a lot of money for Colombians, but one guy, he kept asking me about every cent, right? He was being very pedantic about it. And in the end, he was like, okay, whatever. But then suddenly he's like, oh, hey guys, I can't come. My mum is in very bad health and she might die any minute. So I need to go drive 300 kilometers to the next town and take care of her. And we were all like, oh, damn, that's bad. But I saw him in another group for the next 3 days texting, hey, who wants to play tennis? So he obviously just made up the excuse because he didn't want to say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm tight on cash.
It's one of those things where I've seen this happen and I'm like to the foreigner, read the room. Don't push it. Accept it for what it is. Okay, maybe next time.
And also it's very different to our countries where sometimes you don't want to hang out with someone, make up an excuse, and then you never speak to them again. But Colombians, I've had friends who have told me some bullshit excuse just because they didn't want to that day, but then they text me the next week, hey, you want to hang out?
To avoid saying like, hey, I forgot, or I already made another plans, and to not sound rude, you make up something that is more like, oh, of course, he had to do something else, or he had an emergency, rather than saying like, I forgot, or I made other plans, even though I knew I had plans with you.
So the second thing that Colombians do, which can be very strange, and this one can be very offensive, they use words to describe people by what is unique to that person. So many people might call me negrito. Negro meaning black, and ito meaning the diminutive, to put it in a cuter way. So little blackie.
To the point where I've been here 13 years and now I have some black friends or even darker friends that aren't Afro-Colombians, but I call them negro.
My girlfriend calls me chocolatito.
Oh, my little chocolate, yeah. Back in the U.S., you'd be like, hey.
Black guys from the US know that can be a term that can be very hurtful, but here they don't mean anything by it. It's part of the culture, so don't try and start a fight with someone at a bar because they called you that.
They don't mean to be offensive. You'll know when someone's trying to be offensive in Colombia.
Colombian families are huge. So if someone is like the fattest one, it would be el gordito, or if someone is like the blondest one, it would be the monita. If someone is the darkest one, it would be the negrito. Whatever thing makes you different, they're gonna use it as a cute name for you.
The number 3 thing that Colombians do, which might be a bit strange, but I think it's kind of strange in a good way, they don't have a binge drinking culture here. Any of you guys that come from Australia or the UK or US
or Canada,
and you go out on a night and drinking 10 beers might be a night's work for you. That might be an easy night.
Yeah, that's like a Monday.
That's like a Monday. Passing out in the gutter and sleeping there at the night might be all in a day's work. Colombians do not really do that because it's a country that has had many, many years of insecurity. So they don't really let themselves go out of control. Drinking for them is more of a social activity. They'll go and drink 1 or 2 to be social, have a chat, but it's all about dancing.
And when you are drinking more than usual, like a binge drinking or binge-worthy moment, will be those moments of celebration. For example, I've been to birthday parties or New Year's Eve and Christmas parties. Those are the ones where everyone's drinking and everyone's drinking from the bottle. But those are rare occasions. I don't want to generalize and say that, oh, no one binge drinks out here. Alcoholism is still a thing here as well. But the fact of the matter is that it's very different than in the United States. You don't go out to get fucked up. I remember in the U.S. when you're young, you go out to drink. And whoever can drink the most and hold their liquor is the man. Here, people aren't that insecure. They're more aware of the fact that they don't need to get fucked up to have a good time.
I remember when I was living in the States, people would just go to a bar and drink the whole night. I was like, are we supposed to do this the whole night? I mean, I'm not gonna get drunk here and just like, that's it. That's gonna be my night, getting drunk. By midnight, I was sleepy. I'm like, we're not dancing, we're not doing anything. Here is more like you're dancing, you're doing this and that, you're moving from one bar to another. It's like more active.
Number 4 thing that Colombians do, which is very different to how we do something, is I'll give you an example. If I was to text you, Andrew, I would say, hey, Andrew, what's the restaurant we went to last week, right? That's normal. Colombians, on the other hand, will never directly ask you a question. It's actually, in fact, rude to them. They will say, how are you? How's your week been? They'll try and warm up the conversation before asking for what they want. Don't be surprised to receive 4 or 5 messages about totally unrelated things before they actually get to the point.
Latin American Spanish in general is very ornamented. We take a long time to get to what we want. It's just because you don't want to sound rude and like, oh, I just need you for this. No, you actually want to be like, how's your family doing? How are you doing today? You want to know a little bit more before asking like for a favor. Not on point, that's rude. Like that's considered rude in our culture. Like to be straight to the point and just be very like practical about it. No.
The number 5 thing that I basically never did when I was in Australia, did you ever do that when you were in the US?
No, not for the most part.
Okay, so what is that? Number 5.
The Medellin Masterclass is here.
We'll teach you how to create an amazing life here, much like we've already created for ourselves.
So if you're ready to start living the dream, click the link in the description, fill out the form, and we'll send you more information.
In the meantime, enjoy the rest of this video.
And number 5 is they will text you when they get home. And that is a normal Colombian thing, and I think it's because it used to be a very unsafe place here. So let's say you meet someone, it could be your first date. It could just be a friend. And they go home, and you receive a text message and say, I've arrived. Good night. And you're like, why is she telling me that she just got, we're just friends? Or this is my maid. Why is my maid telling me she just got home? But it's because they want you to feel good about the fact that they got home safe.
That's actually what happened with my girlfriend on our first date. She got home and messaged me, hey, just want to let you know I got home. And I was thinking in my mind, I didn't say this to her. It's like, why is she telling me this shit? I don't care.
Oh, that I text you when I got home and everything? Uh-huh.
What's that all about?
It's just security reasons. I'm used to doing that with absolutely all of my friends. After a date, or if I go out with my friends, or if I'm at my parents' house and I go back, I always text, hey, I just arrived. Or my friends are gonna ask, did you arrive? It's because of safety reasons.
That is some of the things that you guys can look forward to from coming to Colombia. A few things they do a bit different, but just learn and be aware and have fun.